Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. I'm Gerry. Terry and Max are here. We're in our victory pyramid. It's wonderful. I don't know why we're doing that. We lost. Hey, so let's talk about striker situation. We had ample opportunities to score goals yesterday. Based on opportunities, it would not have been surprising for us to actually draw that match 3-3 rather than lose 3-1. Tosun dropped a couple opportunities. Nias hit the post. Hit the crossbar. Yeah, we had chances. Okay, probably should have cashed in. And so because of that, we're hearing a lot of shouts for other striker options. So essentially, at striker, if you're not counting U23s, so we're not going to talk about Bas Sambu or anything right now, although he's a good young player. We're primarily going to be talking Tosun, Nias, DCL, and then a wild card, Richarlison. He's played center forward many times before. Just played it for Brazil recently. Got a couple of goals when he did. So what should we do here? Let's start with Max this time. Yeah. What do you want to do about this the situation to striker, man? It's a bit of a conundrum.
Yeah, of course it is. Obviously, it's so weird whenever you talk about Everton with strikers because you're always hark back to we didn't replace Lukaku, and it feels like the shout that's been getting repeated over and over and over again. Especially when we went through that phase with Sam Allardyce where we just didn't seem to be able to create chances at all. Things have definitely improved under Sylvie. Tosun's getting in and amongst it, and I've said previously that although, he has got really good finishing qualities, given that he hasn't taken to the league, in this blitz of goal-scoring form, I think we can use him as a playmaker striker, dropping deep, holding the ball up, setting people up, coming in out wide, the likes of Richarlison and Walcott. But obviously that hasn't paid dividends, particularly against Huddersfield and the last game against West Ham there. So confidence obviously looks low. He's snatching at chances. He does look like a striker on a goal drought. And these options, what's weird is that although obviously they're not guaranteed goals options. They're options that we can explore. We have these players that have a versatility to them. The likes of Walcott, Richarlison, even we saw playing for Brazil. Calvert-Lewin, Bernard, maybe even. We can give him a run down the middle. And maybe, I know we talked about it a lot last season, Gerry, the way Liverpool play with these kind of alternating three up front, where they've all kind of got the freedom to roam and pick up different areas, even in the middle out wide. Hopefully it could lead to that, but I do think a drop-in's in order for Tosun.
Terry, how are you feeling about this?
No, I don't think I agree. I mean, I think he really, the whole team does, but I think he really misses Richarlison. His worst two games have been the last two league games when we didn't have him. So when he's been playing in the front three at the start of the season, it was Richarlison, Tosun and Walcott, and they all had different roles, whereas Richarlison and Tosun were playing quite close together with Walcott further away from them and as the sort of running option. And you can see from some of the goals that Richarlison got, like the second one at Wolves with the little round the corner ball, and Tosun and Richarlison work really well together. And when you put Calvert-Lewin, who's a willing runner, but he's got none of that flair, none of that quality that Richarlison's got, when you put him on the left, you're obviously going to see a breakdown in the quality going forward. I mean, he is low on confidence. I think it's starting to play on his mind now that he hasn't got a goal yet, but I'd stick with him. I genuinely think he's a very good striker. I think it's overblown some of the criticism he's been getting just because the results haven't been there. I think if we win the last two games with a header from a centre-back from a corner, even though he wouldn't have scored, I think they'd be a lot more patient with him, but it's because the results have not been great. I think when Richarlison's back, I wouldn't put Richarlison in the middle, not yet. I think he's going to end up there. He'll be like Ronaldo when he moved off the wing into the middle in his career. Bit early for that. I think you're just shoehorning one of your best player, which he is already, Richarlison, into a different position, just because of another player's form. when Richarlison's back, I'd stick with that front three and let them play through it, because I think they're a quality front three when they're playing well, but they need each other. You can't have one of them missing, especially Richarlison, because he makes the whole thing tick.
I agree. Yeah, I do. But my only issue with Tosun is statistics make strikers, and as it's proved to be, he's not. I do love him. He's got the right attitude. He's got everything that you want to see from a player at your club, but he's not churning in these statistics. And sentiment doesn't constitute for form. We need someone up front that's producing results. And as you said, I do agree now that you've said it. Putting Richarlison into the middle may sort of be a rushed move, but I think obviously dropping him can be a wake up call, possibly. Because if he has a little spell on the sideline, maybe 1-2 games, comes back into it, and kind of that click happens straight away, and maybe he does, churn in with a few goals as well. I don't know, because I do like Tosun, don't get me wrong, and I've always kind of sung his praises, but as I say, for me, statistics make strikers.
So my knee-jerk reaction was Max's reaction, which was, let's set him down for a little bit. However, I'm not completely convinced that Bernard is ready for a full starting load to go more than, a half in this particular in this league. So I agree, Terry, and I think you make a really good point that Tosun's best games were when Richarlison was playing. He was interplaying more on that side, a lot more with Richarlison. So I do think the plan should be get Richarlison back in there, get them playing, and let's see how Tosun does at that point. However, I do think when you make substitutions, I think it's always more beneficial for you to give the other team something they're not expecting. So, if we're in a position where we just cannot break through, why not give them a totally different and opposite center forward to Tosun? Right around the 65th minute mark, yank Tosun, throw Bernard in, throw Richarlison in the middle, and do it like that. And that way you've got a totally different option. You've got somebody because let's be honest, Tosun is not a speed demon. He's not going to be burning past people. Richarlison can. Tosun is just smart. And he usually has pretty good hold-up play, although yesterday, not his best day for hold-up play, really. So as a different option, something that's very, very, I don't know. I feel that if you can switch gears like that in the middle of a game, that's why I saw some people complaining about Silva wanting to throw Bernard in before the end of half. And I'm like, no, do it now. Throw them off. Change the system. And I think that's how we got a goal.
I agree.
Change things up. I thought it was so smart. It reminded me of when Everton were playing, I think it was Chelsea, and Besic got hurt, and they threw in Naismith out of nowhere, and crazy things happened.
He went on to get that perfect hat-trick.
So I think the idea of having this fluid, you can't throw Tosun on the wing, but why not throw Richarlison in the middle of a game? Throw him off some. I think it'd be great.
Moves like that always remind me of, and it's weird because to me personally, I think it's quite possibly one of the most genius things I've seen in a game of football. When Martinez put Lukaku out on the left against Arsenal in his first season, and it just caused all sorts of problems that they weren't expecting. And so I agree entirely that versatility is a good skill to have.
Now, having said that, come winter, come transfer window time, any of us going to be upset if Everton starts looking at a different striker and decides to try to loan out Nias?
No.
You know what I mean? Nias has been, I love the guy, but I feel like we love him as long as he's finding ways to get goals out of nothing. And he hasn't really done that much this season. I'm wondering if it's just not the kind of thing that happens as much in this particular system. I don't know, but I am starting to think it may be worth it for us to try to grab somebody who may be, I don't know, Nias is not clinical. He's the guy who scores and you're like, how did that guy do that? You know? Somebody who looks more like a footballer maybe. Does that mean? That's mean. Sorry, Omar. I know you're watching. Yeah, I think a lot of people would prefer to have DCL on loan and keep Umar.
See, but you notice? Do you notice the way we don't mention Omar when we were mentioning players before? No one said, "Oh, we'll throw Omar in instead." You don't want to throw Omar in because you know he doesn't give you any method to the madness. He just adds to the madness. Well, it's not, but it doesn't help.
The thing about Omar though is you could play primarily. Just bunker back and park the bus, throw Omar up top, and just blast it up there to him if you had to, just because he can make something out of nothing. That's the weird thing, because DCL can't do that. But it just rarely happens for Omar these days. So DCL looks like a footballer, though.
it rarely happens that we're in the position to have everyone back and let Omar run wild. When we bring Omar on, it's usually to chase something, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Omar at all. I like my players' touch to stay within a few centimeters of his body. You know what I mean? So
yeah, the reason no one's mentioning Umar Niasse is because he's endearing. He's got a 10-mile smile, but he's a comedy footballer. Like there's a reason he doesn't start games, because when he starts games, you see how bad he is because he's against fresh defenders. When he's thrown on with 10 minutes left, 15 minutes left, he's against tired defenders who've played the bulk of a match, and he's full of energy and he's just running at them and running all over the place, and he doesn't know what he's going to do next, so how can the defender know? Yep. It's just his unorthodoxness, how unorthodox he is and how willing he is to run and harass and chase, and that's why he gets the goals he does. That's why he's effective from the bench, because he's an awkward player for a tired defender. If you play him from the start, you see how bad he is because he's got to actually do stuff with the ball.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I've always been a fan of having Omar come in late against defenders with tired legs. Exactly what you just said. And the idea, I don't know, there's something. The problem is, if Umar is not immediately making things happen and being a pest, because that's what he is. He's a pest. He is a definite pest on the field. If he's not doing that from the beginning, then what other changes are you going to implement? Because he's not going to do a lot of combination play to get other people open. It's going to be a lot of him doing crazy things just to unnerve the other team and maybe create some kind of loose ball opportunity in the center. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I see a lot of that's the real question though. I hear shouts for Niasse going on loan and DCL going on loan. And I think Niasse going, DCL learning, coming off the bench when he can. DCL at least can get some passes going with other people and combine play. All right?
Yeah.
Even though he may not get as many chaos goals as Niasse does.
Yeah.
But if we're signing another striker come this winter, it better be an athlete. It better be someone with some pace.
Yeah. He's not a striker, but I just don't know why we didn't get that Adama Traore.
No.
Yeah.
Absolute
he was available. He's an absolute machine. Have you seen his shirt doesn't even fit?
Seen his arms. His arms are about that wide.
His arms don't fit in his shirt, and I'm pretty sure his legs are short. He's got like the most powerful legs in like the world.
See,
if he comes on the pitch, you literally just need to put a bet on to say opposition fullback gets yellow card. He's going to get fouled because he's so fast.
The problem with him, though, the issue that I've seen with him, and he is a player and a half. You're right. He's had some issues with end product and kind of working well and combining with others. If you watch him, he is direct and it is hard to stop him. But as far as if you needed him to kind of put in crosses, that's not his game. He's very, very direct, and he's not really the kind of player that's going to get his head up. It's all about him going forward. He's impressive and he's strong. It's hard to bump off the ball. But that's what I've heard is the issue with Traore, is that combination play, and he actually doesn't finish for a lot of goals, believe it or not. So he's a weird player because it looks good. You watch him play, he's really impressive to watch, you know. But apparently a lot of people who watched him a lot last season and year before have been saying those sort of things. And it does back up for what I've watched, to be fair. So
you're right though. That is what we need. So, someone in that mould. I only threw him out as an example, just a complete bull who will absolutely steamroll. He doesn't have to be the world's best footballer, but like you said, an athlete, someone strong, someone fast. Because we've not got that down the middle. We've got good pace out wide. We've got we haven't really got strength actually, but that's probably it. Not like a big lumbering target man, but just some beast of a player who can come on and change things up. Because Oumar Niasse doesn't do that, and Calvert-Lewin, he's good in the air, and he can be effective from the bench. I've seen him be effective from the bench before, but not enough. I'd like to see someone a little bit more clinical in that role.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we bring someone in and they're so good that Tosun becomes the bench option. Like last season, we bought Tosun in the January, and he just literally completely unseated the striker at the time just because he was so much better. So maybe that's how you improve your team. You buy players and your starters become the bench players. So, hopefully we can do that.
Definitely.
If we purchase a striker that is a second or third option, if you consider Richarlison as a center forward possibility, if we dish out Niasse, bring in a player who would possibly come in the last 15 minutes, last 25 minutes, would you feel like between that player, Tosun, and Richarlison, at that point, would you feel like we've replaced Lukaku?
No.
Still not.
No, not until I see me striker scoring 20, 25 goals a season.
Gotcha.
That's all I've got to say, really.
Depends who it was. It depends. Like if you could get between those three players, if your front three can score between them 25 to 30 goals, so say 10 each, then they have, because when Lukaku was here, only he scored. But at the minute, we've not hitting those goals. That one man provided all those goals, and we've got now three players. It's yet to be seen whether they're going to chip in with that amount between the three of them. They might. I think we've got a good front three when they're all playing, but it's when they're all playing, and we can't just rely on Calvert-Lewin out wide. Where does Lookman come into it as well? Lookman's not a striker option, but he's a goal. He should be a goals option on paper.
Well, I think that speaks volumes of where we know he's at the minute. Really, each game that he's come on, what's he done?
Yep. Yeah, Lookman is going to have to... I'm glad he's getting more time, because that's the only way he's going to work it out and get out his, pouting. That's the only way, is the more he plays, the more he's going to actually start feeling like he's appreciated. And I'm just like, man, if you'd have not been pouting, you'd have been playing more already. So, whatever. I don't know. So I agree with you guys. It's gonna depend on how they perform, to whether we feel like we've replaced Lukaku. I think after we saw Tosun's output at the end of last season, we were thinking he was going to start giving us a serious more than 10 goals this season. I thought, and I still think he's got a chance to do that. I think it's really early to start jumping to that. But yeah, wait and see. That's what we'll say. Wait and see.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So that's it for our striker situation conversation. If you're digging the videos, please subscribe. Hovering around 1160 something in the subs, so thanks for that. Make sure you check out David's interview with Royston Trenta. It's funny, great, awesome. Funny in that it's just interesting and unique. All right, that guy's a character.
Yeah.
Really, oh my gosh, what a character. So check that out. Check out Max on the Toffee Blues website. He's got some analysis on there. And Terry will pop up on the Liverpool Echo fan jury every so often. So check out their Twitter for that action. And that's it. We're going to talk about a little bit of Silva stuff coming up next. So let's do that. Bye.
Sorry, just in that break, can I just pause a sec? Because the world's biggest insect just flew in the room.
Really?
So I just need to... It's making so much noise. Yeah, it's massive, like, dragonfly thing, and it's... it's making a lot of noise, so I can't really ignore it. That's.
I really want to see it. I want to see how crazy this insect is.